So that was it. But my brother Glenn and I were put out to walk up the mountain. They would lessen the load as far as they could.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess we were fighting over the dog.
Okay.
And he went under the wheel of the wagon.
The dog did, or
No.
your brother?
Glenn.
Oh, really? What it run over?
It must have ran over him. Anyhow, there was a man came along in a car, the first car I can remember seeing.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, "I'll take you to the doctor." So he took my mother and him to the doctor.
Okay.
But he wasn't badly hurt anymore, than bruised, I guess.
Okay. That was probably scary.
But I got a paddling for it. I can remember that. I said, that's twice I got paddled, because when my father was building it, he told me to go to the house when he bent those things.
Mm-hmm.
He was afraid they'd fly and hit
Mm-hmm.
him. And I didn't move.
Mm-hmm.
He came down and gave me a swat on the pants, and I can remember going and crying to the house.
Oh.
So that's twice I got paddled on that for that wagon. And that wagon came back. We came back to Ohio 3 years later.
Mm-hmm.
My mother had been to the dentist, and there's a little boy there that was coughing. And she came home, and we were packing, and she coughed, and she coughed, and she went to the doctor, and he said, "Well, if you weren't all packed up and ready to get on the train, I'd say you had the whooping cough."
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'll tell you, it was a whooping cough.
It
'cause
was?
all us kids had the whooping cough.
Oh, no.
And we landed, we came by train.
From where to where now?
I don't know where we boarded the train, whether it was Tyrone or where,
Okay.
but anyhow,
From Pennsylvania, though.
yeah, from Pennsylvania, we landed in Wadsworth, Ohio.
Really? Okay.
And the house, farm we were to go on, the house wasn't empty yet, so they put us in a hotel.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the first hotel. The only thing I can remember about the hotel was everybody was coughing.
Okay.
One would vomit, my mother would have to clean up. And then
Of your
another
kids,
one,
you mean? Of the kids, you mean?
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Uh-huh.
they were all of us had whooping
no.
cough. And somebody said, well, told her she had had the whooping cough twice before,
Mm-hmm.
that it couldn't be. But it was, and she went to her doctor that we'd had when we were in
Oh, Garrettsville? Uh-huh.
And he says, you got genuine whooping cough.
Okay.
So she had whooping cough 3 times.
3 times.
And she gave it to us the third time.
Okay.
Yeah, because there wasn't any of us more than the other times.
I've never been around whooping cough, so you're saying it's a real hacky cough, or what is
It's
it?
a
Like?
coughing.
Oh,
You
release.
go to that and
Yeah.
everything comes up.
Oh, really? Oh, boy.
It was quite a mess, I tell you.
Do you remember the medicine they would give you for it way back then?
No,
Or was
I
there?
don't.
Okay, just was curious.
I could remember all of them kids vomited, and my
Oh.
mother's so sick, and she had to take care of us.
Your poor mom.
So that's where, and then we came on farms after that.
So you were on a farm in Medina County then for
Yeah.
a while. Okay.
Uh-huh.
And then you say you came somewhere in Wayne County next.
Uh-huh.
Is that right?
I started school when we were in Pennsylvania.
Okay.
I didn't get to go to school until I was 7 years old,
Okay.
because you had to be vaccinated for smallpox.
Mm-hmm.
And my 2 brothers had been vaccinated, and they got very sick. during the war, and they said the vaccine evidently had been contaminated, so they wouldn't let me get vaccinated, and I couldn't go to school.
Really? Okay.
And so I went when I was 7 years old, and I got vaccinated. I remember getting vaccinated, just as plain as anything.
Okay.
My father took me, and doctor says, now you sit on your daddy's lap, and you count his teeth.
Oh, really? So were you looking up, you mean?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I was supposed to look at him,
Yeah.
not at the
me.
doctor.
Uh-huh.
And the doctor, as I could remember, he had a little knife. He cut a circle and a cross in it,
Okay.
and they put this vaccine on you.
Really? So it wasn't a shot then?
No, it wasn't a shot.
Okay.
That's
So it was like they
how-
made a little cut and then they put the medicine on and it absorbed into the
and
skin.
it was a round thing, and
Mhm.
they put it on.
Wow.
But I can remember getting that because I was so scared.
Did it hurt or did you,
I imagine it did, but I don't remember that.
it was the fear of it more than
Yeah.
anything?
So
Okay. I forgot
That's-
to ask when you were born. May I ask what your birthday was?
2/12.
2/2/12. That's an easy one.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's no. Was there any?
Oh, this is great. No, we're just going to keep going. This is
Now what else?
on the covered wagon again. So you had you had a water barrel,
Yeah.
and then did you stop every night and camp out, or how did you spend your nights on the trip?
We had mattresses in the wagon that folded up against the wall, and there was also a folding table. And we had benches
Okay.
we sat on. Because there was, let's see, they would have been Mother and Dad, John, Cecil, and me, Glenn, Eva, and then Albert.
Okay.
That would have been how many of us were in that wagon.
Okay. That's a lot of people in a little wagon.
Yeah, and we had a little stove, I can remember. It was about that big, a square, I think. And that's how she would heat and cook for us.
Okay. In the wagon, or would she set it outside?
No, it was in the wagon.
So you would literally have a stove running. Was it a little wood stove?
I can't remember what it was fired with, but I imagine it was. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
But I can remember seeing the stove.
Okay. That is neat.
Yeah, and I said, we never have any cameras then, so I don't have any picture of our wagon.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that wagon came back to Ohio, and we were at Bonita on a farm,
Mm-hmm.
and it became the kid hack.
What's a kid hack?
Well, it's was this wagon, and they put some seats in it, drawn by horses.
Oh, okay.
It wasn't motorized yet.
Okay. So they took the top bows off and.
No, that
Oh,
was
that's it
still
all?
on.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
So it came back and somebody else used it then.
Well, my father, I think, or mother
Oh, your
would
family still used it.
drive it to take the kids to school,
Oh, really?
to
Okay.
Sharon Center.
Okay.
That's where I was in school, but I was there only a short time. That was centralized school, because we went to Bonita to school, and that was just a country school.
Mm-hmm.
And from there, the covered wagon, I didn't tell you, was drawn by the horses, but that's the only time I ever rode in a wagon or a school bus thing.
Okay.
The rest of the time we walked to school.
Okay. When it was the kid hack, you mean? That was
Uh-huh.
okay. So the rest of your life you walked to school then?
Yeah.
You were always close enough where you had to walk.
Yeah.
Okay.
And when we came back then to East Union Township, when we was there,
Mm-hmm.
we got our first car,
Mm-hmm.
and Cecil drove us. And when we had snow, we couldn't come down this north road.
Okay.
we had to go clear into Worcester and back out
Just to get to Apple Creek School?
just to get to Apple Creek School.
Is that right? Okay.
We first went to Melbourne School, but
Okay.
then they centralized and we
Okay.
had to come to Apple Creek.
What school years do you remember going to Milbourne? Like, were you in junior high or high school, or?
Oh gosh, no, I was in, what, 4th grade?
Fourth grade when you started Milbourne?
Something like that.
Okay.
I'm not sure
Or
exactly.
roughly, yeah.
That's roughly when it would have been. Because then when I came to Apple Creek, I think I was in 7th grade.
Okay,
Because Fouts was teacher.
okay. At Apple Creek or at Milbourne?
No,
At Apple Creek.
Apple Creek.
Okay. We'll come back to this. I want to go back to this covered wagon
Okay.
a little bit longer because that is
Okay,
so
you tell me.
fascinating.
Okay.
Okay, so what do I want to ask here yet? What time of year was it? Was it the summertime or winter time or fall when you went to Pennsylvania in the covered wagon?
That's one thing I can't remember, but it would have had to have been summer or fall maybe.
Mm-hmm.
I really don't know.
Mm-hmm.
And there's nothing that tells me.
That's fine. We didn't know if something stuck out. If you're really hot in the covered wagon or if it was cool or comfortable.
I can't remember being hot. And
Okay. And you said a pony wagon was tied on behind. That's a smaller wagon, was
Yeah.
it? Okay.
yeah, it was a smaller wagon, like the Amish you see them go with, and then these crates were on with the
Mm-hmm. With the chickens and
animals,
stuff like
chickens
that.
and things.
And two of your brothers sat in the pony wagon?
Uh-huh.
Okay. And how many horses pulled the covered wagon?
2.
Just 2 horses? Okay. Do you remember what the roads were like? I assume it was dirt roads? Or
I think they were. I can't remember ever being on a paved one.
Okay. Mm-hmm. And then you would go so far during the day, and then would you just tie your horses up at night? And
I did probably hitch them and and let them graze on grass along the thing. Where I remember one time we had parked where they were building a house, and that's
okay.
the only place that I can remember parking.
Mm-hmm. Of course, restrooms, you just kind of used it along the way, I guess, then?
We probably had a potty.
Probably a little potty? Okay.
Yeah. Because that's all we ever had until we moved to Apple Creek.
Okay.
Because we had outhouses.
Yeah, it was a different time, wasn't it?
Yeah. and we would get water when we were going in there. You'd come to a place in the mountain where it would be coming out fresh water, and you could fill your thing with fresh water.
Okay.
It was always nice and cold.
So you remember the mountain springs then, like that?
Oh yeah,
Okay.
I can remember that. There's several things I can remember, and some you wonder why, but they just don't.
They must have made an impression on you, I guess.
Yeah.
Okay. How about the train ride back? This was an early train ride. Do you remember much about it?
Yeah, I remember we stopped in Pittsburgh. And, I can remember the first thing that I remember on it was going around the Horseshoe Bend. And that's in Pennsylvania. You could see the tail end and the front end of the train from where we were.
Okay. I had a friend that went to Pennsylvania not too long ago, and he was telling me about that place. So,
Was he?
Yes. Yeah, and I forget the town. I'll have to ask him, but he was telling me they went specifically there on a scout trip.
It seems to me it was not far from Harrisburg, but then I can't tell you because I don't know.
Okay. Was this a steam engine then? You remember the?
Yeah.
Okay. Lots of smoke and.
Yeah. And we were on that. I can't remember very much of being on the train any more than I can remember. We stopped and we changed trains, in Pittsburgh.
Mhm.
And my father went shopping for, seems to me it was furniture. And he left us in the depot while he was gone. I can remember being in the depot, but I don't remember what it looked like or anything anymore, and I can remember being there.
Mhm.
That's all I can remember about that one.
Mhm.
Then we landed in Wadsworth, and that's when we had the whooping cough.
Yep, that's amazing. How about the motel? You say you did remember everybody coughing in the motel. Was it like a house or was it like a modern hotel or
Oh,
what?
it was a hotel.
It was a hotel then. Mhm.
Yeah.
Lots of rooms.
I don't think there was any houses then that done like hotels. There was no motels then.
Okay, all right. Now you mentioned your brother did your dad get the car or did your brother get the car that you drove?
My dad bought, and I think it was a Ford.
Like a Model T?
Yeah, I remember it had a little window. It was about that long and about that wide in the back of it.
Okay.
Isinglass or something.
Mhm.
Because one time we were coming down the North Road up here, and the Plymeyers lived in a house on that road, and they came out in their horse and buggy just behind us, and that horse put his head right up in that window,
Okay.
all the way to Apple Creek.
So the horse was going pretty fast then?
Well,
Or
we
the-
didn't go very
Or
fast
the car was going
then.
pretty slow? Okay.
Yeah, so that's, and I can remember Professor Stein came out one day. We was late a good many days to school, and he said, just can't you get up just a few minutes earlier so you aren't late? He didn't know that he had to study till at midnight and then get up at 4 o'clock in the morning already, so he didn't have too much sleep.
This is your brother?
Yeah,
Okay,
my brother that done
okay.
the driving.
And at 4 o'clock in the morning, chores did he do then?
Oh, they had to milk,
Wow.
and I don't know whatever there else was to do, but there was always the milking to do.
Mhm.
And I had to get up and fry the pancakes or the potatoes or whatever they were having for breakfast,
Mhm.
because they were all working.
Mhm. So that was your role in the family then?
Yeah, I was cook.
Okay. This is you and your mom together?
Yeah, well,
Or-
she would go out. She'd have everything ready, and then I'd have to do it. I can remember one time I was just small. I hadn't learned to tell time yet. It was the first farm we were on. They went out to husk corn, but she got everything ready to go in the oven. She said, now you put this in at a certain time and it'll be baked when we come in then to eat. Well, I couldn't tell time. So I called Central, and I don't know how many times I called her. And she said, young lady, why don't you set your clock? She didn't know I didn't know how. And since that, you know, I have a fear of calling on the telephone.
Is that right?
It still sticks with me.
Because she was real gruff when she said that?
Yeah.
Oh my. Now Central was the operator, right? You picked up, is that what you mean by calling Central?
Yeah.
Just calling the operator then?
Yeah.
Wow. Do you think that was in Ohio or do you think that was in
It
Pennsylvania?
was always in Ohio.
It was in Ohio then?
Uh-huh.
Okay.
The first year we were in.
So it'd be from either up at Wadsworth or Sharon Center.
Sharon Center.
At Sharon Center. Wow.
So-
That left an impression.
Oh,
Can you tell me about Milbourne School? What was that like out there?
well, there was quite a few kids. I can't remember how many. I can, kids that I can remember the names of was the Jennis kids.
Okay.
And then Yoder, they were Amish.
Mm-hmm.
And I can tell you where they lived. They lived on that Anglin Road. And on that house, I can remember him because he and I met afterwards.
Oh, okay.
I went worked for Fry's out on the farm and cooking
Mm-hmm.
and whatever was to do during summer school
Mm-hmm.
vacation. And
Which Fry? Harold Fry's family?
Harold Fry's dad and mother.
Okay.
And Harold was born. I was working for him because she couldn't do anything. He was born while I was there.
Is that right?
Yeah,
So you remember when Harold was born?
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Is that what people did, or girls did, is they found families to work for in the summer then?
yeah, and that was the big thing that most of them did.
Did you live there with Fry's, or did you go back and forth each day?
No, I stayed.
Stayed with them then?
Yeah, I can remember that because this Harold, or Amish boy, he was worked there and he stayed too. And he went out and he didn't come in until about 4 o'clock in the morning on Sunday
Okay.
or Saturday, whenever it was. And when I washed their clothes, I sewed the bottom of his pants shut.
You mean the zipper or
No,
the
the bottom.
his pant
bottom.
legs?
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah,
As a joke, you mean?
yeah.
Okay.
And I also done Harold's father's pants the same way. But when that Amish boy came to put them on, you know, I could hear him talking. He was so mad. But you know what he did then?
Uh-uh.
They had a spring outside of the back door where they had water and kept their things cold.
Mm-hmm.
And he got a thing of cold water, and when I went out, I had to take the dishwater out and empty it back of the house in the lane. And I took my dish pan of water out. He throwed one of those things on me and I was wet. So he got back for me. But Harold's father heard him laughing and carrying on, and he thought it was great. But when he went put his on, it wasn't so great.
Was he real angry, or did he appreciate it?
He was kind of mad at first, but he pulled a joke on me then. That's one of the things of my working.
Okay.
I didn't work very much out, but I did work for several people.
How old do you think you were when you were with Fry's that summer?
I don't know. I might have been 6th, 7th grade,
Okay.
somewhere along there,
Mhm.
because I wasn't. I don't know.
So you were younger than high school, it sounds like. Then,
I think I was, but I'm not sure. But I can remember doing it.
where was the farm at? I mean, I know where Harold lives now. Is it deep, that farm?
Oh, it was out that road in that orangey yellow house on the right-hand side.
That's where that's where Danny lives. I'm sorry. In Danny's house then. Is that?
I don't know who lives there now.
Okay. So that was the home farm there then.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
That was where I was when
Mhm.
that was the first job I ever had, and then I've worked for others.
Doing the same thing?
I cleaned house, I can remember for the banker.
Who was the banker at that time?
Well, that I'll have to think now. I can remember their names, but I can't tell you right this minute.
Okay.
That's where this here desk came from.
This, the one here?
Uh-huh.
That was the bank, or came from the banker?
Uh-huh. When I was cleaning, and she wanted to get rid of it, and she gave it to me.
Oh, really? And
Yeah.
this is back again when you were in high school or earlier then?
Oh, it was in high school then. Yeah.
Okay.
I can't for the life of me say his name now. No, do you know where they lived?
No.
You know where Doc Mayer's house?
Mm-hmm.
The next house.
Okay, going towards the Methodist Church?
Uh-huh.
Okay, that's where the
On the
banker
same
lived.
side, that's where they live.
Oh, really? Okay. All right. Now, when you cleaned that house, were you still out up north of 30 yet?
No, I was in Apple Creek then.
Okay.
We had, we moved from that place to over here by Maysville.
Okay.
You remember where Edna Geyser lived?
No.
Her son had used it. It's the last, no, it's next to the last farm on the road that goes to Maysville.
Okay, this would be Fountain Nook Road?
Uh-huh.
Okay, so you live just almost at Maysville there then? Is that what you're saying?
Almost. Not quite, but almost.
Okay.
There was, at that time, big brick, where they made bricks.
Okay. I've got an old picture of the brick factory. Yeah, Maysville.
That was almost across the road from where we lived.
So that was on that Fountain Nook Road almost. Now there's a
Yeah.
school. There's a big school there. Was that still there?
That school was
Yeah.
there. That's where the kids went to school. I didn't go there. I went to Apple Creek.
Okay. So you were in high school.
So
then.
I was in high school.
Okay. So you moved from up here north of on 30, then to a farm down there. So
Uh-huh.
how did your dad come to move from farm to farm? What was going on, do you think?
Well, usually there was something. People didn't like kids, I think.
Okay.
There was a whole lot of us, and so they moved, and they moved from one place to another. And
Was he a
I said I went to 8 schools for 12 years, I think.
Yeah, I'd say you're probably right. It's one you're describing.
Yeah.
Was your dad a laborer on farms, or did he own some of the farms?
He didn't own them.
Uh-huh.
He rented them.
Oh, rented the farms. Okay.
Now the one in Pennsylvania, I'm sure we owned,
Mm-hmm.
but the rest of them were rented.
Mm-hmm. As a personal note, did you know Ross and Ethel Orr?
Yeah.
Ethel was a Hoffaker, and she was raised not far from Maysville. But did you know her when you were down at Maysville, or was she?
No, I didn't.
And she had a sister named Goldie and a brother named Clarence, or Bud, I think it was. Okay, that's fine. Just one more. Going back to Milbourne School. Do you remember who your teacher was up at Milbourne?
I'd hate to say it wrong, but Weiser.
Weiser. Okay.
Weiser. But what his other name was, I don't know. But the only thing I can remember about him, and it scared me. I was always afraid I'd be the next one. He'd take the Genis boys; they couldn't spell worth a nickel when they'd miss them. Then he'd take their hands like that and bend them back with a ruler.
You'd whack them with a ruler for missing spelling words?
Yeah.
Wow.
And I was always afraid of him for that reason, I guess.
Would they holler or would,
I can't remember
Okay.
the hollering, but they were two of them, Lloyd and no, Lloyd and what was the other one's name? Anyhow, they were the older ones
mhm.
that I remember. I remember Paul. I can't remember what the other one's name was.
Do you remember, did you pull any practical jokes in grade school? Or were there things, I mean, like up at, I guess I'm going from school to school. Melbourne, I guess. Do you remember any?
No,
Or you just remember being afraid of your teacher?
I was always afraid of. Well, in the one school we were, if you were naughty, you got a dunce hat on you and you stood up there in front of everybody.
They really put the dunce cap on you?
Oh yeah.
What school was that? Do you remember which one?
I'm not sure. Was that Pennsylvania? See, when I started in Pennsylvania, we had while we learned to read the flip chart. And A is for apple, B is for boy. And these would be flipped, and she'd point with a big long stick
Mm-hmm.
at them. And that's how we learned to read.
Okay.
And we had the schoolhouse was heated with a furnace, I can remember. It had a big round thing around it, so that you couldn't get a gimlet.
Okay.
But the teacher would set up the benches for the little ones right up close to that, so we'd keep warm.
Okay. And you were one of the little ones then.
Yeah, I got one of the little ones.